Well, let's discuss this further, and we're joined in studio by senior tax attorney Jean du Toit. Jean, good morning to you. What's at play here, politics or tax administration?
Well, I think definitely in the first instance, SARS is towing the line. They are certainly upholding the provisions of the Tax Administration Act, which determines that taxpayer information may not be disclosed to anyone who is not a SARS official unless certain circumstances are at present.
The former president has come out yesterday saying, I have no problem handing over my records to the public protector. Can SARS stand in the way of that?
Well, one of the circumstances where SARS may disclose taxpayer information is if the taxpayer gives written consent to do that. So it is an important question to ask whether Mr. Zuma's utterances on Twitter would amount to, but I guess that's a matter of interpretation. I don't think SARS would accept that, but if Mr. Zuma gives written consent expressly to SARS that they may disclose the information, and I think Mr. Mkhwebane in the media release confirmed that they would abide by that.
Yeah. How do you see this playing out, therefore, moving forward? Because, as you rightly say, it's going to be anyone's guess whether the tweet from former President Jacob Zuma is or can be interpreted as giving permission for his records to be handed over to the public protector.
Yeah, well, I think if it's purely a matter on law and an interpretation of law, I think SARS is in the right. They have applied the law correctly. The public protector's request for information does not trump the secrecy provisions, but perhaps Mr. Zuma can make everything easy for everyone and just give express consent, in which case that's the end of it, or it should be.
Well, the SARS commissioner has intimated going to court to try and block this. Should he back down?
Well, the High Court's already ruled that SARS and the public protector should meet with the Deputy Judge President of Gauteng to pave the way forward and discern how this should be resolved from a legal perspective. We will have to wait and see what comes from that. But as I said, if Mr. Zuma in the meantime says, let's just take the easy route, I consent, you can make my tax records public, that'll be the end of it.
Just as a final question to you, at the start of this conversation you mentioned certain conditions under which a taxpayer can release records. What are those conditions again?
Well, first of all, if it's a SARS official who discloses the information in the performance of their duties. The second one is if there's a specific act that trumps the secrecy provisions by order of a High Court, if the information is already public information, and if the taxpayer gives written consent.
Thank you very much, Jean du Toit. He is a senior tax consultant.